Hey guys, KP back for day number 27 of this daily vlog cycle. Another day of WePlay Pushka League in the bags. I was hosting on the final series, watching the dotes for the first and second. This day was looking to be pretty quick, actually, until we get to the final series. So we open up with Bait versus VPP. Prodigy boys did take 2-0 versus Bait. Once again, Bait, they kind of had this lack of execution, I want to say. Like, their draft-wise, game 1 was a bit funky. Game 2 was maybe had some substance, but I don't feel like they ever had like a late game carry, a follow through solution. Whereas VP Prodigy's drafts continue to be actually clean and crisp, and it's hard to measure their improvement based on this one because, no offense, OG are now sitting with 10 losses total, not a single game taken from any opponents in this group stage, and only one series left to play against Fly to Moon, who I would definitely say Fly to Moon in the last 2 series we've seen are likely to destroy Fate, and that's a little bit sad to see. I don't really want to lay on it too long because we've already been laying on the panels. I've been laying on these videos. Something is wrong with the team and they need to figure out what it is. Maybe they need to get some outside perspectives on that. Let's look at the next game though, because Liquid destroyed OG Seed as well. This was to be expected really entirely, as once again Liquid keeping that Lone Druid win rate up. Now Quick for dominating on this hero. He actually has every game played in the WePlay Pushka League for the Lone Druid count, and he's won every single game that he's appeared in. This is just like Quick for special, and he's proven why he's so damn scary on this hero. OG Seed really not able to actually contest against Liquid's team fight. They had this early push potential coming out from the Chen, the Lone Druid, and they had a lot of team fight thanks to things like the Rubik and the Mars. It never really felt like OG Seed had enough time to get online. They went back to this kind of like tried and not so true anymore bristleback type lineup, backed up by the Ember, the Axe. It just didn't work out at all. And then game 2, they at least actually took it longer, but that was more on Liquid actually taking a slower pace. OGC had a better draft than the first game, I'd say. They had a lot of team fight with the Cole, the Dark Willow. They had a lot of poke and prod, some harassment with Ench, Ricky, and then the DK to kind of solidify the drafts. They had push potential, they had pick-off potential, but Liquid, they come in with something just clean that works. They get the Earth Spirit in conjunction with their Grimstroke, already a very strong support duo against these more elusive or squishy backline heroes in OG Seed, and they have the reach to get there, and then they're assisted by a Batrider, a Monkey King, and Ember. Like, everything about Liquid's draft screams, I'm going to get on top of everything but the DK, destroy them, and then come back to the Dragon Knight and dress that. And they did exactly that as they take it 2-0. And then the final series is actually pretty hype. We had Hellraisers versus Team Spirit. And Team Spirit almost had this one. Actually, the first 2 games could have went either way. Honestly, I feel like it came down to the line. Hellraisers, they took game 1 off the back of this Shadow Fiend Slark draft, which was hilarious to look at, actually, because they were picking heroes. They had the Pangolier, they had the Weaver, and then this Bloodseeker comes out from Team Spirit in the second phase. And Hellraisers slam their balls on the table. They say, weigh these big boys up. We're going to pick a Slark as well. Of course, Slark plays a little bit different against Bloodseeker now. I feel like it's still, it seems like an inherent counter, but we've seen plenty of teams actually make that work their advantage, just baiting out the spell usage, building in that stats resistance build. You get to a tanky point where actually you don't care about the Rupture as much anymore, and you overtake what the Bloodseeker can achieve in that late game scenario. And that's what happened there, as teams were unable to repel them in the end, and they lost that, despite having GPK as a stand-in. Great performance actually coming out from him through the entire series. It wasn't enough to get teams through that first game with his Kunkka performance. Second game, though, he demolished. GPK ran over his mid opponent because HR, they decided to pick up a Alchemist and stick it mid up against GPK's Queen of Pain. He dumpstered that lane and then proceeded to fix both the out lanes for Team Spirit, allowing them to get ahead in that game and take control, ensuring that eventually the Alch, the Lesh, it wasn't enough. It was kind of weird to see this Lesh actually drafted without any sort of defensive save. It was more like these aggressive positioning type saves with like the Mars and this Rubik, this whole idea that you can control people long enough that your Leshrac didn't die. And in the end, didn't work for them. Team Spirit take that game. Then you get into the third one, and Team Spirit got a little bit funky with their draft. They picked up this Ursa, and this Ursa was already maybe looking like he might have a hard time, considering that Hellraisers had both a Shadow Demon and a Disruptor, 2 supports that actually handle that bear really easily and put him in his cage, make him look like he's been in a zoo his whole goddamn life and hasn't seen a fight. And that's exactly what it felt like, as there was really nothing they could do with the Ursa. He just kept getting picked off, and then everything seemed to be on GPK again. But like, he's in a similar scenario where he's picked this Templar Assassin. You've got a lot of Roche potential, a lot of physical damage, but these heroes just get counted out by these Heaven's Halberds that you can build on the side of Hellraisers when you've got things like the Razor, or maybe when your supports gets it if you really need it. And that's what we kind of saw. We got to a point where Hellraisers were just able to control the fight with their supports alone, and then the follow through comes from their cores being tanky enough, sapping away the damage with their Razor and turning it against their opponents when there's no trade available because of these disarms. And as a result, Team Spirit, they do end up losing that series 2-1 as Hellraisers take another victory. They solidify their spot at the top, now 5-1 in the standings. They will finish at the top there. It's just a case now where Virtus.pro Prodigy can join them, matching up with a 5-1 victory, and maybe, if that's a 2-0 from Virtus.pro Prodigy over Virtus.pro tomorrow, then they'll actually match the exact standings. That's going to be an interesting series to look at because, as I just said, tomorrow we're going to have Virtus.pro Prodigy versus VP. That's going to be the third series of the day. I'm going to start with the start, though. Start of the day. Good place to start. Dying. Because we're going to have Secret versus Ninjas in Pajamas. Ninjas in Pajamas, their last showing was not the best. And by not the best, I think I'd say they're damn well worst we've seen so far. They got completely obliterated by the side of Alliance. 2-0 victory in favor of Alliance. And Alliance, they just had this clear, easy to execute draft. They're bulky boys, backed by DP. These easy pushes with all the heals coming out from Chens and Phoenixes meant the Nip, it wasn't as much, Alliance played well, but Nip didn't adjust or change anything in that series. I want to see them do that in this series against Secret. This is where we get to see if it was just kind of a fluke or if they are awake to what's going on in their group and if they can actually react to it. Because, Ninjas in Pajamas, they haven't secured a spot guaranteed. There's still a situation in which, they aren't necessarily going to get through. They really need this victory. Team Secret also, 3-1 is the matching score between these two. Whoever gets the victory will be secured, and there'll only be one spot left in the standings. But honestly, Secret versus Nip, I'm going to have to say I'm expecting this to be a 2-0 in favor of Secret based on what I saw previously. I hope Nip turns up, is awake in the draft, and doesn't just ignore what their opponents are doing and give their opponents what they want. Because they do that, a team like Secret especially are going to run you through. The second series is going to have Nigma versus the side of Alliance, and this is where, it gets a little bit rough. Alliance don't need any more points, but they're not going to give it over easy to Nigma. And we've seen that Nigma are struggling after they got 2-0'd by OG yesterday on May the 3rd. I think this is actually going to go Alliance's way. I don't think they're going to pull any punches. They're going to run what they've been running already. They're going to keep it clean. And it's just a case of whether Nigma even, have these clear, crisp drafts, right? Because there's maybe some questionable points, I think, especially when we saw the Ursa TA, which we just talked about today, which we saw Team Spirit pull out, was pulled out by Nigma and just got ran over by OG on May the 3rd. We'll see if they can clean up the drafts. I really hope they do. I'd like to see these standings mix up a little bit. Maybe Nigma still being for contention, but I would have to favor Alliance. I'd say probably 2-1, maybe 2-0. I think with how strong Alliance is actually right now, I'm going to give them the 2-0 benefit of the doubt. Then, of course, there's Virtus.pro Prodigy versus Virtus.pro. And Virtus.pro really need these points as well because right now they're sitting 2-2. If Flight to Moon win their series tomorrow, which they're most likely to do so, then VP could be in potentially a lot of trouble. They really just need to secure this win now and solidify their spot so that it should be easy sail through for the most towards the playoffs. But I would actually say, I think with the way that these two teams have been playing right now, this one could go either way. I think Virtus.pro Prodigy have been matching the style, the pace, everything that we've been expecting out of Virtus.pro. When you consider the fact that Virtus.pro Prodigy, they did take down Na'Vi, they took down Hellraisers. These guys have been improving each day, and they are looking hot. So I think this one is 50-50 split at this point. I'm going to give it to Virtus.pro Prodigy. I've got a feeling we might see a 2-1 victory. VPP. Which would be rough for the main Virtus.pro team if they get beaten and whooped by their little prodigy, their little child team. And then around out the day, the other guys that need these points to stay in contest to try and make the playoffs is going to be Flight to Moon, who are sitting 2 wins, 3 losses overall in the group stage so far. But they should have an easy meal because they're going to face Bait, who are still unable to find their stride, unable to find their foot. And I'm honestly going to say it's going to be a 2-0 in favor of Fly to Moon. It's not just a case of how Bait are playing right now. I think it's a case of how Fly to Moon have improved as the groups has gone on. I think they're looking better than when they started. Tiny Iceberg is especially formidable. I think Iceberg is actually looking better than I've seen him look in a while now, and I wouldn't put money against them, especially in that matchup against Bait. That's my roundout for the day. That's what I'm expecting to see. I, of course, will be in for Virtus.pro Prodigy versus VP and possibly for the Bait versus Fly to Moon series. So series 3 and 4, you should be able to catch me on camera. Hopefully, I'll see you there in the Twitch chat. Be sure to give me the smiles, the winky face. I don't know what the hell you do. I don't know what you do when you see me on camera. Probably Dan's game. But I'm going to go off and play some games. That is me done for the day. I want to try and get one in or 2 in, or maybe 3 if I'm lucky before I go sleepy bye-byes. And as always, thank you for watching the video, and I will see you in the next one.